everybody. Welcome back to In the Air on CricTracker with me, Nivedna Prabhu. Today has been quite a start for the fourth test match on the first day. Now, what are your thoughts about it? Aapko kya laga about both the teams performing? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know who are you really happy about. I know a lot of the answers are going to be about Shardul Thakur for Team India. But if you have anything else to add, of course, put that in the comment section and our amazing experts will do their best to be taking those questions on. On that note, let me bring on our very first guest. Rakesh Deva Reddy, who is a cricket coach as well as cricket analyst, joining us once again. Rakesh, welcome back. Did you really expect this to pan out the way that it did?
Yes, I was expecting the Indian batting to collapse, but it was unexpected that we saw Ravindra Jadeja coming ahead of Ajinkya Rahane, making sure that Ajinkya Rahane plays the old ball, but
Yeah.
he couldn't capitalize that and he couldn't convert that and put a big score on the board. So I think it looks like end of the road for Ajinkya Rahane. Maybe India might give a chance for another test match, but what a knock by Shardul Thakur. The most important thing is he was fearless. His feet was moving really well. Just getting under the ball when he wants to hit the ball big, keeping the batsman downswing if you want to hit it on the ground. What is that? Six boundaries and three massive sixes. I mean, absolutely amazing partnership. Otherwise, India would have collapsed maybe for
Much.
120, 130 runs. At least India, with the help of Shardul, India could manage to put a respectable total of 191. And
Right.
yes, India took 3 wickets, but out of those three wickets, important wicket is Joe Root's. Otherwise, he could have really troubled India in the second day. So India could manage to take that massive important wicket. That is the only good thing what India can go back to the dressing room and cherish. Or maybe come back tomorrow with some positive intent that they know that they don't have to ball to Joe Root or maybe looking at Joe Root scoring another century or something like that. So except
Right.
that, I don't think anything went in favor of India.
Right. I mean, that's a fair enough point to be making with the fact about Joe Root. And of course, that the way that we say to uproot him is yet another discussion, altogether. But to summarize that, of course, like Rakesh said, he did expect the batting, order to collapse. But then to have Shardul really step up, what did you all think about it? Let me know. I also see a comment about Rishabh Pant. I know one of my guests would be really looking forward to be answering that one. So on that note, let me bring on our second guest on the show, Pratyay Tiwari, who's joining us once again back in the studios. Pratyay, welcome back. Before we get into everything, for starters, of course, what did you really think about, both the attitude of both the teams going into this competition? Do you think that India again, the body language wise, was looking aggressive, or you think they were taking it far more relaxed this time, looking at the way they performed today?
Well, the performance was definitely not relaxing because after being put in, you would not expect them to be bundled out for 191. And they have only Shardul Thakur to thank, because had it not been for his 57 odd runs, they could have easily been, again, it was already a collapse. But because he played down the order so well, and these are very crucial runs, I think, already in the game. Because, see, England have already ticked off, what, 53, 54 runs off it. And if India would have been all out for 140, 150, they would have been under 100 runs already, trailing by under 100 runs already. So I think that, yes, they would be very disappointed by the fact that, again, see, because in a 5-match series, I think that so far the number of collapses we have seen in this series, I think now is the time when India kind of starts to worry a little bit, because this is now kind of happening a bit too often. I mean, the last 2-3 innings consistently this has happened, and as has also been the case with England. So it's a bit strange to see so many collapses happening in the same series, and so frequently as well. But I think that yes, even in the pre-show that we were discussing, a few changes that India made were a bit confusing. England's changes were quite expected, but a few things now they were confusing. But now the fact that Umesh Yadav has managed to take the biggest of wickets, that was of Joe Root, because I clearly felt that India absolutely had no way. I mean, it was never looking that India knew how to get him out. So with that wicket, I think that already in this game, Umesh Yadav has kind of established that, okay, his inclusion was a correct one, even if we did not see Ravichandran Ashwin. So right now, pretty much in the balance, 13 wickets in a day, it has actually moved quite quickly for day one.
Right, and I think Pratya makes a fair point in terms of course, that playing 11 of both the teams. Like you said, England, I think people kind of expected the names coming in, but Team India, what did you all think in terms of course, those changes that they made, and are you guys happy with it? Let us know in the comment section below. And on that note, let me bring on our third guest, Gaurav Tripathi, who is a content creator and joining us back once again. I do not see a smile on his face, which pretty much says the answer for how the first day has panned out. But summarizing this particular fourth test and looking at the fact that we've been speaking consistently about the middle order being, a concern, Gaurav, how do you look at this overall as a series for Team India?
See, obviously disappointed with the batting performance of Team India because they started off well. I was watching the match. KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma, they were positive at start. In 8 or odd overs, India were 28 for no loss. But suddenly, Chris Woos dismissed Rohit Sharma, and all of a sudden there was a batting collapse. Wickets were falling in a flurry. Except for Virat Kohli, he scored 50 runs. No other batsman could show application on this track, which was the key against the movie red ball of James Anderson and Ollie Robinson. I think one point where I was talking about the India 11 that Ajinkya Rahane, I don't think he should have played this game because after consistent failures, it was good for him as well and well for India that he should go out, assess his mental conditions, assess his technique because he has been totally out of form in the last few innings. Yes, he scored a match-winning 61 at Lords, but there's no meaning that if you're scoring a half century one innings and going runless in the 10 or the 12 inning next. So I think he shouldn't have been in the 11. And if he was, then dropping him at number 6, I don't think what was the tactics behind it. Obviously, didn't work for India. But fortunately, Shahil Thakur came to our rescue, and because of him, India were able to score 191 on this track. And at terms, looking at the score line, I think I will say the game is what somewhat poised because England are 51 for the loss of 3 wickets, and we, as Pratay mentioned, that we have seen numerous batting collapses already in the series. So I think the first hour of D2 is going to be very crucial. If India can take 2 or 3 wickets quickly, then it's going to be for their advantage.
Right, and I think in terms of how both the teams have done, of course, I don't think anybody expected India to also get those many wickets that quickly. So I'll come to Rakesh on that as well. If you could take a quick look at the scorecard of where both the teams are on day one, if you could take a look at that, and then I'll come to you, Rakesh. In terms of course, Bumrah getting that 2 for 15, and of course England trailing by 138 runs. So going into tomorrow's competition, how are we viewing this? Of course. Also, Malan is still there, so that damage can still happen for Team India.
There is a threat from David Malan's batting because yes, he is number one T20 batsman. But if you analyze his batting, he takes a lot of balls before he starts scoring. So that is something which is very suitable for Test cricket. So he is definitely going to be a threat for India. But there is no Joe Root. That is the one important thing which India can keep in mind, that they can restrict the other batsmen of the England team. But
Right.
this is the best opportunity for India without Joe Root coming in tomorrow because he has already got out. So this is the best chance if India can restrict them quickly. First half an hour or maybe in first hour, if India can take another 2 quick wickets, then England will be sitting in the back seat trying to play defensive game. When a team starts to play more defensive game, yes, there's more chance for the bowling team to take the wickets. So that's the best thing. Try to attack, put in close-in fielders. Don't try to be too defensive in the morning first hour. Try to take a couple of wickets quickly, then put the pressure on England. Then try to get England as soon as all out as soon as possible. So that should be the only strategy. Otherwise, it is really
It's
hard. If England, yeah,
it's going to be really tough otherwise,
yes,
right?
yes.
For everybody who's tuned in, and if you want to really give your analysis or ask questions to Rakesh in terms of him analyzing the game, or you want to know anything from him, put that in the comment section below as well. And with the fact that how he's looking at the strategy for Team India tomorrow, what do you all think about it? Hame zarur bataye in the comment section. Having said that, I think, like I spoke just a couple of minutes earlier, with this big concern being the batting lineup of Team India. If you could take a quick look of how Rohit Sharma has done in the past 10 innings, there was a little bit of expectation from him coming into this competition, but that did not happen. So Gaurav, I'll come to you. Of course, if you look at that numbers over there was a little bit of hope in the last 10 innings, probably a half century there as well, almost a half century, two half centuries over there rather. But today did not materialize into that. And also, if you could take a quick look at Pujara and Rahane's stats in the last 10 innings as well. So if you could summarize that for us, because these are, of course, key players, a lot of expectations, a lot of conversations has happened. Of course, Pujara did step up with that 91. But again, like if you were to look at all of these three, what is happening? What do you think is really going wrong in terms of you analyzing for these three cricketers?
See, I think Rohit Sharma hasn't been doing much wrong in the past few Test matches, because if you look at that, when he came back in the Test team, India played Australia, and there was a home Test series against England where a lot of runs were not scored, and there is this England series. He did pretty well in the World Test Championship final as well. So I think he has been doing exceptionally well in Test matches. Opening in England is not easy at all. The conditions are overcast more often than not, and there's the Duke's ball who can castle any batsman. So I think he has been doing really well. His numbers are impressive as well. Also, he's the fifth ranked batsman in the ICC Test ranking, highest for any opener. So that shows that he has been doing well. It was just one of those innings where he couldn't get a significant score. Yes, he has not been successful in scoring those hundreds or 150, which he's known to do in ODI cricket. But I think we can't criticize him, especially after the performance of the rest of the Indian batsmen. As far as Pujara and Rahane are concerned, they have been an issue for India. Pujara, I think he has somewhat cemented his plate. He has somewhat redeemed himself with that 91 in the Headingley Test. But there's no meaning if you are not being consistent in the Indian batting lineup. As I said previously, that Ajinkya Rahane, it's time for him to take a back seat, to go out of the Indian 11, to work on his game and come back. He is a very good player. He has done well in the past, but I think giving him consistent chances despite failures is not doing good either for him or for India. So I think India should look at the batting lineup and in order to do better in the upcoming Test matches.
Okay, so what do you all think about? Yeah,
अभी
Rakesh, please go ahead.
टीम से बाहर गए तो फिर वापस आना बहुत मुश्किल है मेरे भाई
हाँ,
अजिंक्य
लेकिन
रहाणे
लेकिन द वे ही इज परफॉर्मिंग, आई डोंट थिंक ही इज हेल्पिंग ईदर हिमसेल्फ और इंडिया, बिकॉज उनका ना तो फीट मूवमेंट हो रहा है, ना तो वो ड्राइव
नहीं
सब
बिल्कुल
खेल
बिल्कुल
पा रहे हैं.
वो सब बात सही है, लेकिन मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ कि अभी एक बार टीम से बाहर गया ना, वो स्पॉट में आने के लिए बहुत लोग हैं. सो आई डोंट थिंक ही कैन गेट बैक if he goes out of the team. If he's been if Ajinkya has been put out of the playing 11, I don't think we will see Ajinkya again back in the playing 11.
Yeah, this sounds like one of those conversations I think we had during IPL. Rakesh, you might remember about Manish Pandey.
Yes.
After that, we spoke about the Sri Lanka India series, and then to talk about with the fact that I think, considering there are so many other people waiting for their opportunity, it all boils down to that at the end of the day, that there are, of course, cricketers waiting for an opportunity, and I think he's got enough opportunities is the way I think Gaurav is
But
also looking at it.
I personally like Ajinkya Rahane because he's a very, very hardworking cricketer. He knows what exactly he wants as a player, which can really help the team. Because few times I had conversations with him, but it's just that the time is not working out for him. So you can't do anything when your time is not working. Because we have seen a lot of players who have waited during Lakshman and all these guys were playing like that. So this is the time where things are not working for Ajinkya Rahane, and we have a lot of players in the bench who are ready to occupy that spot and perform and get a better result for India with their performance. So, yeah.
Because there's also a comment coming in from Mukul saying India's number 3 haven't scored a single century from the past 3 years. Isn't it shocking how many matches the team management is giving him? Same for Rahane's average after 188 against New Zealand in 2016 is 29. Rakesh, how do you view that? And then, of course, I'll come to Pratyay about another point. But to answer Mukul's question, would you like to take that one?
See, sometimes what happens is the number 3, number 4, and the players who have big name, we generally tends to we generally tends to want those players to perform better, and if they perform with their 60s and 70s, we don't get satisfied. We always want them to score a 3-digit mark, but after 198 or 191, I think Pujara haven't scored a century yet, and we thought he'll score century during that 91 run mark, but he couldn't get it. But just that if they can consistently score, that consistency it is missing at number three spot in terms of Pujara's batting. But if they can at least perform consistently, scoring 60s, 70s, nobody would have started pointing out about their performance. It's just that their 40s, 50s, or 60s, 70s are not being consistent, and we haven't seen the number three player who comes at number three hasn't scored a century in a while. So the consistency is missing, not just in Pujara's batting, even for that matter for Kohli as well.
In terms of course, I think that's a valid point that you say, that I think just in general, fans are never, I think, satisfied, because they also know what they expect from players of this caliber. So I think, like you said, there is a 50, then they want 100.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Kohli got that. Now they're like, where's the century? So that'll keep happening. But one person who's very strict with performances has to be our in-house Professor Sab. So I will come to him straight to the point. One player, there's already a comment, Mukul again commenting about Rishabh Pant's attitude, as if he scored a triple century. He's just lucky that there's no competition of his. I think that's, of course, a personal comment that he's making. But let's talk about Rishabh Pant and you looking at his performance, because you did have a lot to say about him earlier, in our previous, the series that we've been speaking about so far. So, how would you summarize that for us, Pratyay?
See, the thing is that when you talk about Pujara, you talk about Kohli, you talk about Rahane, we have been consistently talking about them. We know that. Speaking about Pujara and Rahane, the other thing is that they have the pressure of people waiting on the wings. The
Yeah.
thing is that with Pant, that is not the case. I mean, he is not worried about his place because he knows that his competition is Vidyavan Shah. He is 35, 36 years old, and there is no one who is vying that wicketkeeper spot. So I think that is one of the problems. For just to add one point to what Rakesh was saying, I agree with him that yes, Ajinkya Rahane once out, I don't think that it would be very easy for him to come back. But I also feel that it's time for India to now look beyond the reputation of players and select them. I mean, you are not going to select players just because they are big match players. They have to perform to kind of justify that tag of big match player. You cannot play someone just because he has played 80 test matches. If he has not been firing for 20 test matches now, how long do you stick with those people? And speaking of Pansi, I think, I mean, there's a touch of overconfidence. That's how I look at what Pant is kind of doing right now. Because see, it's okay, you stepped out to Jimmy Anderson and you reverse swept him, or you did something in a test match, but you need to decide what you are playing. Are you playing test cricket, or are you just kind of infusing T20 cricket into test cricket? Because see, he's trying to play a style of game that was developed 10, 15 years ago in a format which is 150 years old. I mean, T20 cricket, if you're trying to infuse that into Test cricket, I don't know how much longer would that actually go on to go. And don't expect the red ball to treat you the way the white ball does. It does not.
Right.
The red ball game is entirely a different ball game, and quite literally, it's a different ball game because it's a red ball as compared to a white ball. And if you're playing those kind of strokes, it is not going to help you in the longer run. Yes, people might disagree, but this is what I think about him. And what I have also seen, I'm sorry I'm taking a bit long, but this really needs to be talked about because this has now actually continued for too long. And what I have actually seen in this particular series with Pant is that that same old irresponsible Pant that we got to know was scolded by Ravi Shastri for playing irresponsible and reckless cricket, who was scolded. He is kind of resurfacing. He is kind of coming back. So the Pant who scored those runs in Australia, the Pant who got a century against England, I do not see that Pant playing this particular series because they were when he was playing those knocks, when he was scoring those runs at the Gabba, or when he scored that ton in the Sydney during 2018-19 series. He was aggressive, but he was calculatedly aggressive. He was not being recklessly aggressive, which is now increasingly becoming the case if you see this entire series. The way he has panned out 87, 90 odd runs in 6 innings, you do not expect a number six batsman to be doing that. And he's playing multiple roles, I agree, but the kind of position that he's holding right now into the Indian team, I don't think that he can actually be doing what he is doing. And just to kind of sum up from my end, there's a section of people that always comes out in defense of him, saying that he won't change his style, and you can't expect Pant to play this way or that way. The only question I want to ask to them is why. I mean, why? And I'm sorry, but why is it that you cannot expect Pant to play a certain way? Have we not seen players changing their style of play? I mean, it's not something that has been unseen or unheard of. It's not
Yeah.
like that people have not changed their playing style because of a certain need. So why he can't play is something that I cannot understand. And why can't we expect him to play? Because a lot of people, I've always heard about defending Pant in a way that, you cannot expect him to play this way, you cannot expect him to play that way. I mean, by that logic, how about if we start to say that Virat Kohli, he will flirt with the ball outside the off stump? Let's not criticize him. Then let's not also criticize Pujara for playing slow. And also, let's not criticize Rahul, Rohit Sharma for playing the pull shot, because all of these can also be termed as natural game. Why can't you call that a natural game? I can say that Kohli's natural game is to flirt with the outside of stump delivery. Let him do that; he won't change it. I mean, when you are an international cricketer, you need to play the situation, and this is something that I can tell you without even having played international cricket, because this is so obvious that layman's can tell you. So I think that why I can't understand, that's kind of a bit unfathomable for me. Why is that leeway, that extra leeway being given to Pant, is something that I cannot understand. Why can this natural game cannot be a natural game for the others? And one good innings does not give you the license to fail in 10 innings. If you have done good once, you are expected, because you are in a team extremely competitive like India. As Rakesh said, why is he saying that it's going to be very difficult for Ajinkya Rahane to come into this side? I mean, if you
Because you
give
have
Ajinkya,
that much of talent.
exactly, because you have that much of talent pool, there are people waiting out. But that is what Pant is not worried about, because he knows that his competition is not going to get in. So you cannot be reckless about that. And also, just to kind of clarify, I mean, I'm not against Pant. It's not that I do not like his playing style, but as I said, one good innings is not going to give you the license to fail. And that fearlessness we always talk about, fearless Pant, he plays this way, he plays that way. That fearlessness, I even said
Like
that.
people do say that they remind, I mean, he is probably someone where people think of Sehwag as well in that kind of attitude.
No, it's okay. I mean,
Right.
Sehwag did what he did, 8,500 runs for Sehwag. It's fine. We are not questioning his credentials. He is gone. He is the story of the past. But Pant is not past. Pant is the present. Pant is the future of Indian cricket. So bound to be raising questions on him. And also one thing, fearlessness, as I said, आप निडर होके खेलिए, किसी को तकलीफ नहीं है, लेकिन उस निडरता का कोई कोई रिजल्ट आना चाहिए सामने. That fearlessness needs to materialize into something. If it is not, then it's not actually helping you out. It's nothing absolutely right now for Pant. Play the situation, and see, this is not EA Sports that you will just press Control Shift D and be playing aggressive shots, and you will be expecting the ball to go out of the park. This is Test cricket. So I think that today he was given a life also. Today he was given a life. A couple of balls later, what does he do? An ugly hoik. I mean, that shot. Having watched the game for whatever time I have watched, I did not feel for that moment that I am watching Test cricket. I felt absolutely that this is IPL being played in whites, because I mean, it's not like that India is 700 for 7. India is 145 odd. The top order has failed. You are being thrown into a position with a lot of expectations. What are you doing is that you are playing the ugliest of cricketing shots in a test match and throwing away a wicket. So that is ridiculously reckless. And the time, as I said, India was 700 for 7. You go for your shots. No one is going to ask you anything. But that kind of shot at that point of time, was that needed? That is the only point I am raising here. It's now too much. I mean, it has happened this entire series. He needs to think, and he needs to kind of figure his game out. This. I mean, that shot that he played today. I'm sorry, I cannot justify that. No one can justify that shot to me at that point in time. Absolutely
भाई
not.
साहब भाई
On
साहब
a
इतना
lighter note, this
इतना एक
reminded
मिनट
me of
इतना
Karthik Aryan. I thought Karthik Aryan was in
इतना
our
रात में भी
studios just ranting.
इतना
But
रात में भी अपना अपना शो को इतना लोग देख रहा, तुम्हारा एड्रेस पूछ के तुम्हारे घर को आएगा ऋषभ पंत के पास.
but one good thing is that all the fans who are commenting here completely agree with what Pratyay is talking about in terms of Pant, whether it's person with an account called Fall on Blizzard or even Mukul. They say that they completely agree with you with the fact that whatever you have just spoken about Rishabh Pant on a very serious note, because also in terms of course looking at the way that wicket happened, and I think I was going to come to Rakesh and Gaurav as well about Pant really playing that shot, but I guess you have summarized it on their behalf as well. And if Rakesh, if you would like to add something in terms of course him talking about one part of it, like he said, that one innings and then that expectations happen, or even if you're playing a knock like that at the end of the day, fearless, if it was to materialize into something like Shardul did, then probably Pratyay wouldn't be saying that, right? At the end of the day, if you're going to be aggressive, then be it in a way where you're adding value to the team. So would you like to quickly add one more line
No, see,
on this before we wrap up?
there is something sensibility. There is something called sensibility and playing according to the situation.
Yeah.
You might be aggressive player, but I don't think he was playing according to the situation or he being so sensible. Because having
Exactly.
an experience of 20 to 20, I think 25th Test match. This was 25th Test match for Rishabh Pant. So that sensibility was missing. It's fine even if you have scored 10 runs and if you are playing with some sensibility, nobody would point these many things. So that sensibility is missing in Rishabh Pant's batting from the last couple of innings. So if he can be sensible, then nobody will question. And the other important thing is the knocks, the flamboyant knocks which he had played. Those are the times where Indian batting, I mean, the top order was playing little bit better, or India was in a comfortable position, something like that. But this is completely a different situation. Even in the last innings or this innings, India was in a complete different situation where India needs somebody like Rishabh Pant to stay there, because if Rishabh Pant kind of batsman stays there, the bowlers are going to change their plans, and after they changing their plans, then he can go with his natural game. So he didn't play according to the situation. That's what I would like to add.
Okay. And Gaurav, before we wrap up, of course, a lot of them agreeing in terms of whatever the conversation has happened about Pant. But would you like to add another line before we wrap up for today?
See, definitely. I think there's a difference between carefree and careless.
Yeah.
What Pant played in Australia, England earlier this year. In those innings, he was carefree, but he was taking calculated risks, which he has not been taking lately. In this England series, I mean, it's the red ball, as Pratham said very rightly. You can't go everything like you will step out and hit a player of Jimmy Anderson for a long on over six. So it's not going to happen regularly. Yes, that reverse sweep, that famous reverse sweep was very good, but it's not going to happen regularly. You have to be careful if you are playing this longest format of the game. So I think it's time for him to buckle up and play some good innings in the upcoming series. But as far as overall match is concerned, I still feel it's somewhat poised. The first hour of day two is gonna decide a lot of things. If England can survive this session, then they are going to post anything over 250, which is going to be difficult for India in the third innings. But if India is going to take anything, if they are going to take 2 or 3 wickets in the first session itself, they will be on command.
Okay, that is of course Gaurav summarizing what he's expecting from day two of the fourth Test match. But before we wrap up, Ryan says so probably a message coming in that it's just a bad form for Pant. He will improve. This also sounds like something that an optimistic Virat Kohli fan would have said. But at the end of the day, of course, expectations is bound to happen. With the fact that Pratyay did analyze the way that he did, also goes on to show that the expectation from, like he said, international cricketers and to be giving away the wicket like they have, we did speak throughout the series about even whether it's Kohli's wicket or whether one or two kind of instances where they could have been playing better, where we've had Rakesh analyze those shots before, is probably one of the reasons why we come here live so that we can discuss with all you passionate cricket fans as well about when such moments of course happen. And on that particular note, I would like to thank everybody for joining us today in the studios on In the Air. We
प्रत्यय
will of course,
आराम से
and
सो जा,
Rakesh.
ठीक है प्रत्यय आराम से सो जा, गुस्सा मत आओ.
But like I said, I think Pratyay is, of course, voicing the opinion of most fans, cricket fans, that when they have that expectations from them to be playing in such important series as well. But like Rakesh said, everybody has to just probably breathe in and breathe out, and tomorrow is going to be a better day. And hopefully things will, materialize for both the teams the way they wanted. But what is going to be happening? Well, for that, you will have to join us tomorrow once again on the show In the Air, only on CricTracker. So until then, of course, all of us are saying goodbye. We will see you tomorrow.